What's up, guys? Barry Gaming here, back with some more Idle Heroes news. And today we have Waldeck's new abilities, the new Ranger coming from the Abyss faction that everybody seems to be kind of hyped for because, let's be honest, Abyss could really use some love here in the game. So overall, he's looking like a pretty good hero. He looks like he could be either used as a support hero or potentially might be part of the strongest PvE team. We got to see how he matches up against someone like Ithaqua. Now remember, Ithaqa's like, actually, is Ithaqua like 2 years old at this point? I think she is, right? She's like 2 years old, pretty much, almost a year and a half. We'll go with a year and a half. But he has some really insane bleed abilities. He has a really cool blood frenzy buff for his teammates. He does insanely high damage from the looks of it to single target. Plus, he has some AoE damage as well. So hopefully, he's really good. And let's jump right into his skills. Okay, so here is the new abilities for Waldeck. We already knew the names of the skills, but now we get to see what they actually do. This time we'll actually start and talk about his active ability because this one is a really huge damage dealer right here. Sanguinary Invasion deals. Now, hold on. Before I even talk about it, when you see these damage numbers, just remember these are V4 numbers that we're seeing here. So the active ability here is the strongest it will be at V4. So just remember that. It'll be a little bit weaker for the rest of the people out there that don't have V4. But it will deal 1000% of attack damage to one random enemy. So it's not like a lowest HP or anything like assassins do. Just a random enemy. And an extra damage equal to 30% of the target's maxed HP, capped at 1500% of his attack, and it will restore self HP equal to 100% of the damage that is dealt. On top of that, it is going to bleed all enemies. So even though that main attack is only hitting one target, the bleed is hitting everybody for 800% of attack damage for 3 rounds. Now that's pretty big because the way bleeds and burns work in this game is on effect, like so when they are affected by the bleed, they instantly take 1 tick of that damage. So even though it says 3 rounds, it's technically more like 2, because what happens is the first round of bleed is going to tick immediately on him. Then at the end of the round, it'll tick again. And then, of course, at the end of the next round, it'll tick. So there's a lot there. And then he's also going to be granting 3 random allies the Blood Frenzy effect for 3 rounds. We'll go over that here in a minute as well. But that main ability there, that active, is a lot of damage. Like a lot. It's considering he only hits 1 target with the actual attack. He hits everybody with that bleed. Every single target takes that bleed damage. And his Scarlet Wings is going to be really important here because he gets 45% HP, 40% attack. Now that's really high. 50% precision, which is pretty good because that's an extra 15% attack. I think 15%. You get 30% of all precision is converted into attack as well. So 10% would be what? 5? Yeah. 15% attack. So it's more like you're getting 55% attack here. 30% crit, which is pretty cool too. Granted, I don't know if that's super important. And control immunity by 30%. Now, I wish that was damage reduction once again. Luckily, Andrea had it, but it seems like they're more willing to give control immunity to heroes than damage reduction, which I hate. But there's a reason why control or damage reduction might be bad, and you'll see that in his last passive skill. His next one is Tearing Claws. So each basic attack will bleed 3 random enemies, dealing 400% attack damage for 2 rounds. So nothing huge there. There's no heal attached to it. There's nothing like that. It's just hit 3 targets. But I mean, for a basic to hit 3 targets and put a bleed, that's not bad. Is there potential for this to be good in PvP? Maybe, because not many people are going to be running dot removal. So that's a really good thing for their E3 Purify. And then lastly is, Gory Devotion. When Waldeck is dead, he will bleed all enemies, dealing 600% attack damage for 3 rounds and grants all allies with Blood Frenzy. So both when he dies and of course, when he uses his active ability, he's going to be giving Blood Frenzy. Granted, when he dies, everybody gets it, versus when he uses active, only 3 get it. I believe he can apply it to himself as well, just like Rogan can with Bloodthirsty. So I'm pretty sure that's going to work. So the bleed, of course, when bleed is inflicted, it causes damage once during its effectiveness, and then it will cause damage at the end of each round. So that's why, even though it says 3 rounds it lasts, technically it's only 2. And then the last thing down here is the definition of Blood Frenzy. So this is a skill effect, not when the hero granted with Blood Frenzy is attacked by a bleeding target. So very similar to how Ithaqua works, where if Ithaqua is attacked by a burning or bleeding enemy, his ability procs. Well, Blood Frenzy is very similar. When they're attacked by someone that's bleeding, increases that hero's attack by 15% attack for 3 rounds and restores self 20% of the HP lost from that attack. It is not stackable, so you can only put it on once. I mean, it's a good support. Like if he dies, maybe he'll be good as like a 5-star to do Abyss Sea Land if you're not going to build him. He does seem like someone that could live long enough in Abyss Sea Land to actually get things done, like to get it cleared out. Being that his damage is bleeds and such, it's passive damage. I'm trying to think what artifacts would work best. My guess would be Antlers Cane would be really insane. Honestly, there's a potential here. We'll go over it here at the end. There's a potential that he could be a substitute or a better version of Ithaqua when it comes to PvE damage. Now, does that mean it's going to be used in Void Arc bosses? I don't know. It kind of depends, because it just really depends on how much damage he's going to dish out. Now, they did give us something really interesting this time as well. They gave us this little card here. They gave us a hero guide, so to speak, trying to give us ideal matchups for his team. So pairing him with these types of heroes with a crown, Waldeck's active skill and death trigger will trigger the Blood Frenzy. This buff will strengthen his teammates and enhance their attack and healing power, which, I mean, I can see maybe some synergy with Ithaqua, but then Ithaqua is going to use his active and remove all those bleeds that are going to do less damage in the active than if you just let the bleeds tick. Now, Asmodel, Transcendence Asmodel, the Dauntless, that seems like that might be a pretty cool matchup to work. Asmodel, yeah, that could work. That could be interesting, because if he dies, he'll then buff the Asmodel doubly with Blood Frenzy, plus, of course, Asmodel's buff. This one looks more like a PvE matchup here. I mean, pairing with people like Queen, Ithaqua, Horus. When Waldeck combines with heroes with bleeding skills, the chance of triggering Blood Frenzy will increase, because, of course, you have to be attacked by someone with a bleed on them. This lineup might deal with higher damage and restore more HP. I don't know about that necessarily. I do think there is potential for Waldeck to replace Ithaqua. Let's take a look at Ithaqua's skills and her damage numbers and see if we can compare them to Waldeck. So when we're looking at his damage abilities and then comparing it to Ithaqua, we really need to take a look at the V4 versions of Ithaqua here. So first one we need to look at is the Poisonous Blade, because this one affects both the active and the basic. When Ithaqua releases skills or normal attacks, poison the target, dealing damage by 60% of the damage dealt for 2 rounds. When she crits, she will also bleed the target, dealing damage by 60% of the damage dealt for 2 rounds. Interesting. So with this, the way her ability works is it's based on 60% of the damage she deals. Well, her active ability is going to be one of them that is kind of important to go over. She's only dealing 800% of her attack, and the extra damage is capping out at 12% instead of 30% like Waldeck. Interesting. Really, really interesting, because there's nothing. Basic attack, enemy with the lowest HP dealing 240% attack damage. I mean, when we're looking at Waldeck's basic attack, his basic is hitting for 400% attack, plus it's hitting 3 enemies. This could be interesting. Waldeck might have a chance to become the new PvE god in the Delacium army, and then it's a full Abyss team. And that could be pretty cool to build, honestly. Because his basic hits a lot harder, his active ability hits a lot harder. The only difference is going to be how this Poisonous Blade works. I mean, if you have him, you pair it with... Honestly, you probably don't even want a Scarlet Queen on your team, because then her bleed might not be as strong, and you want the Delaciums replicating the strongest bleed effect. I don't know. This is interesting. I think there's a real contention that he might Might work instead of Ithaqua. We're gonna have to see. We're gonna have to do a lot of testing in PvE, but I'm really happy to see more PvE heroes. Maybe he has a chance to be usable in Void Arc for those who have not built an Ithaqua. You kind of know I'm not a big Ithaqua fanboy. I'm a little biased against her. So if we can get Waldeck to be the new PvE god, I think I'll build him. So let me know what you guys think. Do you think he's going to be great in PvP in the end game? Do you think he's going to be a really good first E5 hero? Is he going to be part of the god tier PvE lineup? I mean, I think all those have potential. I don't want to get overhyped. He's got a heal on his active ability plus the blood frenzy. I mean, he might do good in Sealand. He might do good in Aspen Dungeon. Might do good in the Void. You never know. Hopefully he is, because we need more non-transcendence heroes that we can use in the game. And honestly, the mid and early game, we need the heroes the most, because of course, as the game keeps progressing, we're gonna get more and more transcendence heroes. That's gonna fill up the end game. We need early game and mid game strong heroes. So hopefully he is. We will be building him Thursday. So if you guys want to check it out, I'm going to put a reminder right after this video. There's going to be a Waldeck live stream reminder. Make sure you hit the bell on that to make sure you get a notification. We're going to be building him right at event reset on Thursday night for the new week. So hopefully you guys enjoy this one. Make sure you come by the live stream, and I'll see you guys next time.